As an S&C coach, if I wanted to start my whole GAA career again and maximize my potential, what would I do? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what you can do, and these are all from my learnings and lessons across my GAA career, from playing intercounty, from playing club, right the way up to senior. So in this video, I'm going to compile them mistakes and lessons, which there are a lot of, and hopefully help you to avoid the same pitfalls, because I know I would be a lot further ahead if I had to avoid these earlier on in my career. So hopefully in this video you will walk away with plenty of lessons and learnings that you now will have, and save yourself some time. So the first lesson is to build a strong foundation early. And what I mean by this is really across, I suppose, taking a holistic approach to your performance. In our performance, we have multiple different areas. We have obviously our physical development, we have our mental development, we have our tactical development, our technical development. So we have loads of different areas here. For the purpose of this video and for my expertise, we're going to focus more on the mental and the physical capacities. So definitely I was slow to start with, let's say, the gym work and doing extra conditioning work myself. I was involved in academy squads, but really wasn't a done thing back in the day. Now I feel like it's more prevalent, and the research has evolved, and a lot more coaches and a lot more, I suppose, players as well are aware of the benefits of building a strong foundation in your physical development. So for me, this wasn't really a thing, and it wasn't until I was around in college that I started properly doing gym work and doing extra conditioning work. So if I was to look back and see one area that I could have improved on, it was definitely that, because I was quite slow to start. I was tall, I was quite, I suppose, skinny, let's say. So if that was always kind of the one area that of my downfall, I suppose, that I was I didn't have the same strength as, let's say, some of the other fellas. While I was tall, I still didn't have that physical development there. So I would say to yourself, if you're at the beginning of your journey, or even if you're midway through it and you still haven't started, then definitely I suppose that quote of the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago and the second best time is now is definitely one that you should think about. Because if you haven't started way back when, I would strongly consider starting now. And this will always, I suppose, the way I look at strength and conditioning, the way I look at physical development, this will always allow you to be up at the table with everybody else. And then it's going to be your skills and your technical ability up there that's going to get you over the line. But if you're already at a deficit in terms of your physical development, then you are fighting a losing battle there. The second thing I would say, and I have a couple of notes written down so I don't forget them, but the second thing I would say is to master your mindset. This is something I struggle with a lot because I was afraid to make mistakes. I was afraid to get criticism. I was afraid to hear that I played poorly or that I had, I suppose, let other people down. And really, I suppose the earlier that you can understand that there's always going to be noise in the GAA, there's always going to be noise in team sports. There's going to be people who are not going to like you. There's going to be people who don't rate you. And that's okay. That is just part and parcel of playing a team sport. And it took me way longer than it should to have gotten to grips with that. And really, it overwhelmed me for a long time. So the earlier that you can accept that, then the earlier that you can start to change your mindset around it and really lean into the fact of just being yourself and doing what you really want to do. Because people will not, I suppose, enjoy the fact that you're looking to do extra work. You are, maybe if you're doing extra skills after training or you're doing gym work, in some cultures that can be seen as, you know, belittling other people, and really that's just more of a reflection on them than it is you. So if you can understand and be aware of all of these different things, then you can just focus on being in your lane and keep trying to progress no matter what anybody else says. Now at this stage, I've gotten to a place where I really don't care if someone doesn't, I suppose, want me doing extra work, or thinks it's outside of the group, or if it's, I suppose, belittling other people, because it's definitely not. It's just a way of, I suppose, them internalizing it and realizing, or thinking about themselves more than anything, because they're worried on how that might look on them. So just focus on yourself, focus on your lane. If you want to do extra work, definitely do it, because you're ultimately just trying to get better, and nobody else should put you down for that. And what I've also found is nobody above you or in greater codes will ever I suppose look down on that, or will ever be negative towards that. When I've went into inter-county squads at senior level, all of them lads are so supportive around that, because they're on the same journey, they're on the same mindset, they're on the same wavelength. So it's usually people who aren't striving for the same goals are questioning what you're doing. But the earlier that you can adopt that mindset, the better. The third thing then is focus on the one thing. And this is related to a business book called literally The One Thing. And it's a great lesson, because it's as self-explanatory as it sounds. Really, all it tells you to focus on is to look for is that one important thing that's going to move the needle the most. And usually there is always just one thing that we have to focus on at a time, and that will help us get to the next level or to the next milestone. So in your performance, if I was to ask you right now, what is that one thing that is holding you back? And maybe after some self-reflection, you'll be able to find an answer. Sometimes at the start, people come up with several different things. But if we boil it down to first principles, and usually on our roadmap calls with any of the guys who come on board with us in the academy, it usually is that process of boiling it down to see what is the one thing that's holding us back here, that's limiting our progress. And once you find that, then it's putting in the action steps to relentlessly go after that one thing. Because if you just focus all your attention on that, you have so much more capacity to grow in that area, rather than half-arsing, several different components and trying to manage all these different, I suppose, or spin all of these different plates. You're just going all in on one area for a period of time and trying to develop that. And it just gives you so much more bandwidth to put into that. So that's what I found, I suppose back in the day, whenever I was looking at so much different social media content, seeing all these different exercises, these new workout plans, these new diets, I was overwhelmed by all the different information. I was trying to do a bit of everything. And really, I had no clear strategy in place. Whereas if I just focused on, okay, this month I'm going to focus on developing my strength in the gym, and then you can have another goal for your pitch performance or whatever you want outside of that. But let's just say, for example, in the gym, because it's quite easy. Okay, this month I'm just going to focus on developing my strength. That's perfect, because now I know I have a clear plan of attack. This is what I'm going after. So boiling it down to focusing on one thing at a time is an easy way to I suppose give you the most amount of mental bandwidth, but also then maximize your progress, because you're gonna just be focused on tracking one thing and measuring its performance over time. Number 4, develop a board of advisors. And this is something that is really, really important in life, but also performance. These, I think there's a fine balance between life and performance. Both of them are often interlinked. But really, developing a board of advisors essentially just means developing a group of people around you that you can trust wholeheartedly. And these can be family, friends, coaches, mentors. All of these people, you want to make up a really sound and solid board of advisors that are going to be there for you no matter what. No matter when things are going right, no matter when things are going wrong. Because ultimately there's going to be periods of both of these. You know, throughout my career there's been plenty of highs, but there's been way more times when I've questioned myself, when there's been low periods, when I've doubted my ability. There's been so many of them moments, and whenever you have a strong board of advisors around you that you can go to seek advice and just get you back on track, ultimately the better. Because this is where, you know, you can separate yourself here, because ultimately the quicker you can get back to baseline, the better. Because if you spend weeks on end, or months, or even years sometimes, dwelling on a mistake or dwelling on a bad patch of performances, then that can really hold you back. But the quicker that you can get back to baseline, as I like to refer to, the better. Because then once you're back at baseline, you can go up. You can start to see improvements again. You can start to focus on what's the thing in our control here, that we can start dotting out the next steps. So if you can shorten that period of time where you have adversity and you can get back to baseline within a day or two, then the speed of your progress has just 10x'd, a huge amount. So if you have that board of advisors, it's a simple process where you maybe have a bad performance, or whatever event you're talking about. You go for a bit of counsel from them board of advisors. These can be, as I said, family, friends, mentors, coaches, all of these different areas, and look for feedback off them. Look for their advice, or just even for them to listen. And then soon after that, you'll be able to see, okay, what's the next steps that I need to take to move forward again? So you can see how much that would speed up your progress here. So developing a sound board of advisors will be one of the best things that you can do, and something that I definitely wish I'd done earlier in my life. The last and final lesson, I want these videos to be quite short and sharp, because ultimately attention spans are gone downhill a lot, and hopefully some of these lessons are just kind of heavy hitters but short and sharp. So the last lesson is that there's seasons for pushing and seasons for pulling. And I'm not talking about pulling girls or anything like that. I'm talking about pulling back on your energy. So seasons for pushing is when we are just in go mode. We are just in, I suppose, a heavy period of pushing for progress, pushing for growth. This can be in the gym. You're pushing for PBs. You're pushing for strength targets. And ultimately, there's always a cost to everything that we do. So if we're pushing and we're pushing hard, there is going to be that upside of the returns on our investment, the progress that we make in the gym or on the pitch. But there's also going to be an energetic cost to that as well. We're going to eventually, like a battery, we're going to deplete our energy stores eventually. So there's only so long that we can keep pushing for, and this is shown in the science as well, that, you know, if you keep trying to hammer PBs every single week, eventually you're going to hit a point where you're just plateauing and ultimately go downhill from there, because our body is essentially burning out, and this is the adaptive response. But if we are strategic with this and we allow ourselves to push for a period, and then we allow ourselves to pull back a little bit, aka in a training side of things, a deload week, which is when you reduce down the volume and allow the body to recover. But also this can be taken in a mental context as well, in terms of your life, where you take a little bit of a reset and wind things back in so you can restore your energy levels. But ultimately you want that little period of pullback, so then you can push again even harder. So something that we like to say to all of the lads that we work with is oftentimes our downtime is our uptime, because without this downtime, we're not going to be able to keep pushing. We're not going to be able to grow as much as we want. We're not going to be able to reach the goals that we want. So this recovery, rest, recharge, whatever you want to call it, is as important as them periods of pushing and them periods of growth. So do not overlook having seasons for pushing and seasons for pulling back as a concept and as something that you should really live by in your life. So yeah, they're just a couple of the lessons that I've learned. I've definitely, maybe I'll do a part 2 to this, I don't know, but you can let me know below if you enjoyed it. Hopefully you did take away some lessons from that, and I will see you in the next one.